Hello BookTube, welcome back to my 2026 library tour. In this episode, I'm going to finish this bookcase here. So let's get started. First up is Twin Star Exorcists by Yoshiaki Tsukino. This is a story of two prodigy exorcists, Rokuro and Benio. They are informed at the beginning of the series that they are the Twin Star Exorcists, that they are fated to marry and have a super baby exorcist that will bring about the end of the 1,000-year war between the exorcists and a race of humanoid demons called Kigare from an alternate dimension or a parallel dimension to Earth's dimension called Magano. The problem is that at the beginning of the series, Rokuro wants nothing to do with being an exorcist. He has been traumatized by an event that took place sometime before the series began. But over the course of the series, Rokuro's desire to be an exorcist comes back, and Rokuro and Benio become closer, and as they fight Kigare and fight to prove their love to those who doubt them. So one of the great things about this series is the relationship between the two. Tsukino does a fantastic job with that, and he also does a fantastic job with characterizing a whole slew of other characters, both heroic and not so heroic, and some downright villainous. This is an amazing series. It finished up its run last year, although obviously finished the year before in Japan, but this series has now been completed and it is amazing. So this is volume 1. Volume 2. Volume 3. Volume 4. Volume 5. Volume 6. Volume 7. Volume 8. Volume 9. Volume 10. Volume 11. Volume 12. Volume 13. Volume 14. Volume 15. Volume 16. Volume 17. Volume 18. Volume 19. Volume 20. Volume 21. Volume 22. Volume 23. Volume 24. Volume 25. Volume 26. Volume 27, Volume 28, Volume 29, Volume 30, Volume 31, Volume 32, Volume 33, Volume 34, and the final volume, Volume 35. And whoo boy, is this amazing. It is just, it has become one of my favorite manga series. Next up is Tsubasa, Reservoir Chronicle by Clamp. So this series came out in the 2000s and is Clamp's portal fantasy series. It basically takes inspiration and characters from Clamp's previous works and recontextualizes these characters, sometimes several times over. So the main character is a young man named Sioran, who in this setting is the son of an archaeologist who has been unofficially adopted by the ruling family of the Kingdom of Cloud. And he has a dear friendship with the Princess of Cloud, Sakura. Both Sakura and Sioran are most famous for being the main character and the deuteragonist love interest of cardcaptor Sakura. At the beginning of the series, an invasion takes place at a archaeological dig, and Sakura is grievously wounded. Her spirit is shattered, and her memories are transformed into feathers that are spread across the multiverse. Sioran and Sakura are sent to Yuko, the space-time witch, who is, of course, a major character in X-Holic. So Tsubasa, Reservoir Chronicle, and X-Holic are sibling series. So Yuko basically tells Sioran what he has to do and claims her price for her assistance. And he is joined by, or he and Sakura are joined by two others. Kuragane from a feudal version of Japan and Faye from a more fantasy world. And the two are basically come up with their prices, and the four, alongside an entity called Makona, are sent across the multiverse to collect Sakura's feathers. And after a whole lot of adventures and pain and misery, things work out, sort of. So this is the first volume. So I first read Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicle when I first got into manga, but I didn't complete the series at the time. And so when I got back into manga a few years ago, this was one of the first series I wanted to collect. It was one of the first series I did successfully collect. So again, Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, Volume 4, Volume 5, Volume 6, Volume 7, Volume 8, Volume 9, Volume 10, Volume 11, Volume 12, Volume 13, Volume 14, Volume 15, Volume 16, Volume 17, Volume 18, Volume 19, Volume 20, Volume 21, Volume 23, Volume 24, and Volume 25. Now, if you notice, I am missing Volume 22. That's because after a certain point, the later volumes were rather difficult to find in these individual volume formats. So I eventually decided to go ahead and buy the final 3 omnibus volumes to finish off the series. So this is the 8th omnibus volume, which includes volume 21, no wait, should be 22, 23, and 24 is this one. And then I have volume 9 of the omnibus and volume 10, which finishes off the series. Next is Durenki by Studio Gaga, which is produced by Kaitaro Miura, who's most famous for Berserk. So this is a weird thing. It was going to be a series, but Miura died shortly after it began publication, and so there were only a few issues or chapters released, and they decided to not continue on with the series, unlike with Berserk, and so eventually they just came out with this effective one-shot volume of manga. Next up is a very short series, Yumotsu Hegui, The Tree of Death by Masasumi Kakizaki. This is a seinen series about a former detective who attempted to murder a serial killer who killed his wife and child. He discovers when he's released from prison that he has become immortal, as has the serial killer, and the reason for his immortality is a young Shinigami who wishes to use the detective to destroy other immortals before he becomes Cthulhu. So this is volume 1. Volume 2. And the final volume, volume 3. I didn't particularly care for it all that much in the end. Next up is a still ongoing series, at least here in the US, that is Astro Royale by Ken Wakui. So Astro Royale is about a young man named Hibaru who is set to inherit his father's Yakuza organization when a meteorite comes to Earth and grants a large number of people superpowers, and these people are called Astros, and their powers are sort of centered around an item of immense importance to them. And so this is the story of Hibaru trying to organize his siblings and fight some of his more malicious ones, as well as do other things. So this is Wakui's follow-up to his more famous Tokyo Revengers. Um, and unlike Tokyo Revengers, this one did not seem to do all that well, as ultimately there are only 6 volumes. So I currently have half the series, and the other half of the series will release over the course of the early part of this year. So this is volume 1. This is volume 2. So this series had a pretty strong opening, I would think. But by volume 3, things started to fall apart. Okay. Oh. Before I forget, I do want to finish off with this. So now this final shelf. So I put on this final shelf Dr. Stone by Riichiro Inagaki on the story and Boichi on art. So this is a completed series about a group of young people who are one of the billions of people who at the start of the series are petrified, and are petrified for thousands of years before some of them begin to become unpetrified. And this is the story of a young man named Senku, who is super brilliant, who, when he comes out of petrification, decides that he wants to restore the world to what it once was. And so he basically gathers his friends to try to accomplish that against both people from his own time who have very different agendas, as well as the surviving people of this world. So it's a pretty interesting story. I like the art a bit more than I do the storyline itself, and I haven't yet completed this series. So this is volume 1. This is volume 2. This is volume 3. This is volume 4. This is volume 5. This is volume 6. This is volume 7. This is volume 8. This is volume 9. Volume 10. Volume 11. Volume 12. Volume 13, Volume 14, Volume 15, Volume 16, Volume 17, and Volume 18. I think I have 9 more volumes to go to finish off the series. And I need to remind myself where I left off on the reading. I also have the 7th volume of Dr. Stone in a Japanese edition, which I was originally ordering, or at least I thought I was ordering, the 7th volume in the English translation from Viz. But apparently Powell's has a number of the Japanese copies. So I ended up with this one. That I think is pretty neat. And how it's like different from the American editions. I kind of would like to have more Japanese volumes for other series as well, but those might be a bit harder to find. And also, I have Dick Fight Island by Riebon Ike. This is a boys love series about an island that has a very weird succession culture. Let's just say it like that. I did not particularly get on with it. I thought it was a bit of a mess of a story, but it has been a while. I think it's only like a 2-volume series. So that came out a few years ago. And to finish off this bookcase, I also have the 1-volume box set of Death Note by Tsugumi Oba on the writing and Takeshi Obata on the art. So, yeah. I will say it is an immense pain in the butt to read this volume. Immense pain in the butt. Because books, particularly paperback books, are not meant to be that big. Anyway, BookTube, that wraps up this bookcase. I will be back tomorrow with the final bookcase, which will take probably about 6 episodes to do, because there's like 12 shelves on this bookcase. And so I'm going to break it up into probably also on Naruto, and then Bleach, and then Fullmetal Alchemist, and Demon Slayer, and then Fairy Tail, Eden Zero, My Hero Academia, and then, yeah, work it on. So look forward to that starting tomorrow. Anyway, BookTube, that's all I have for now. So until I see you next time, thank you and have a great day.